Welcome to Art Loves Fashion. I'm your host, Sharonda Irving. I'm an image consultant, professional developer, art curator and collector, a wife and a mom. This show, Art Loves Fashion, is about, you guessed it, art, love, and fashion. We'll be meeting new people, trying interesting things, and hopefully learning something new. Sounds kind of vague, right? That's because I want you to join me on Sundays at 5 o'clock as we take a journey of all things creative and beautiful with art, loves, fashion. Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to Art Loves Fashion. I'm your host, Sharonda Irving. Thank you for joining me for another conversation about all things creative and beautiful. Well, it's season 2, everybody, and this is episode 2. It's going to be a mashup of some of my favorites from episode 1. For art, we'll be talking about how to make your home your oasis with our very favorite interior decorator, Nayoka Simone. And for love, I'll be sharing the 7 stages of marriage. And for fashion, I'll be talking about how to enhance your mood with color. Stay tuned for another episode of Art Loves Fashion. I want to introduce to you my guest. Her name is Miss Nayoka Simone. She is an interior designer. She is an author, and she also is a newly crowned vendor at the MGM Spa with her candle collection called Noir by Nare. It smells amazing. I use mine as my woosah moments with all these video chats that I have to do for work. And she's also a mom and a busy entrepreneur. So I am so grateful that she had the time to Zoom in with us today. And say hi to the people, Simone.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for Sharonda for having me on the show today. I'm so super excited.
Yes. So Simone, and she's looking fabulous, came dressed for the occasion as usual. With the puff sleeves, honey. And that's what we're talking about. Like a lot of people who have to work from home. First of all, shout out to the people who are not able to stay home and have to go to work. Shout out to them. Thank you so much for your service. We're usually saying thank you for your service to people who are in the military and police officers and things like that. But now we're saying thank you for your service to anyone who is not allowed to stay home and they have to go to work. So thank you for your service to the baristas at Starbucks. Thank you for your service to the people at the grocery store. We just appreciate you because you're able to, you have to put your life at risk or put your peace of mind at risk to come to work to help and make sure that everyone has what they need. So, but I digress. We were talking about working from home and how do you show up? So I wanted to just give you a little compliment, Simone. You're looking real cute there.
Thank you, girl. Thank you. Listen, I had to put some lipstick on and do something. The good thing about the hair that I have, these locks, is that I can do whatever. And no matter how old or how long it takes for me to go get it actually done, I can always just throw it up and do something to it, and it looks like I just got it done. So
yeah, it's cute. The pinup is real cute.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I was going live so that folk can join in live. So at any rate, Simone, so I just gave people a quick little snippet about who you are and what you do, but tell me a little bit about how you got started doing what you're doing, all the different things that you have expanded your business and your services to include.
Okay. So pretty much it all started with my whole journey of trying to find out exactly what I wanted to do. So there were different occupations, side occupations because by day from 9 to 5, I'm actually a federal government employee, and I like to be very transparent and letting people know so that they can see how my story kind of unfolded. But so I was always looking for that side job. And so I went to nail school, did that. And, of course, yes, look, nail techs in the house, right? But
yes,
skills may be way more polished than mine because I've left the game so many years ago that I just can't even see how I will be able to bounce back into the game. But what I did was I was, not that person that was great with, laying the acrylic, so to speak. But I was that person that was always great with doing the designs on the nails. So, most people would come to me for that. And then I kind of moved into becoming a wedding planner, which of course, I love having events at my house and I love entertaining. And then, the whole decor piece of an event reception setting and even the actual event itself, the wedding ceremony itself.
Yes.
So then after, going through a lengthy divorce and having to move into a new space, I just started to let my creativity flow even deeper. And so by doing that, I had, was having friends and stuff over and they were like, your house looks amazing. This is like in my home. And someone said to me one day, you know what? You should become an interior designer. And I was like, no, because at that time I had already made a commitment that I was not going to step into that next entrepreneur journey until I knew it was fitting for me. And I knew it was something I was going to 100% stick with, move forward with, and make blossom. And so after, that person telling me, I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and try it. I'm going to take the leap and I'm going to do it. Right. So I called up a photographer. I went to the mall. The Zara girl got me a whole pink suit. And I had faux locks. That's how long ago I had faux locks in my hair. And I was like, just come over and I'm going to sit on my couch and we're going to just do a whole photo shoot. So I sat on my sofa, did my own makeup, everything, sat on my couch. She took the picture. And that is when my business, Nare Interior Designs, was birthed to the world. I just took the leap. At that point, I did not have any contracts. I didn't have any contractors. I didn't know what I was going to charge. I just knew that because my faith was so big, that I knew that at whatever point that I needed those things, that they will be there for me. So that's pretty much how I leaped into becoming an interior designer. And then, it just kind of blossomed from there.
Okay. Yes, and we've been knowing each other for a really long time. So
don't tell them.
This walk together for a lot of those different phases, and our businesses have intersected at times. Our businesses have been in somewhat of partnership at times. So
yes. We've kind of been through all those phases.
Yeah.
You understand the journey and you've seen it, and same for me, for you. So kudos to you for exploring what your heart truly desires and becoming an actual, stylist,
Yeah. So one of the things that the reason why I had asked Nayoka to come on today is to talk about art in the home. So in my introduction, I talk about I am an art collector, and one of my businesses is also Blue Sky Development, where we work with artists to curate and install public art. And we have collected art over the years for our house. Now, some of the things that we have collected have been like what you would consider investment pieces in terms of art. But then there are times when we just collect art that, just struck us and we said we liked it. And ironically, you don't see any on the wall here.
Because you gotta change that.
I know. Maybe when we're letting people in our house.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
You can come in and help me out. And so I wanted you to kind of talk a little bit about how do people select art for their home, and or in just in general beautifying your space, because I find for me that you know, fashion is something that's like second nature to me. I don't feel any kind of hesitancy in terms of what I want to purchase, what I want to wear, what I want to put together. But then when it comes to beautifying my home, like I have ideas, but I find myself getting a little stuck and stalled. And so how do we select art? How do we translate, you know, as a just an everyday person, not necessarily trying to do it art as investment pieces, but just how do we use art to beautify our homes and make it a place that we feel good to, you know, looking at the walls and that kind of thing.
So, you know, art is really based on emotion. So it's very expressive. What's that?
Oh, that's my phone. I was just showing the people on live.
Oh, okay. So art is very expressive, and it shows who you really are, what you love, what's the beholder in your eyes. And so a lot of times when I'm working with clients and we're picking out art pieces, they typically know the style of art that they like. Whether it's an abstract piece, whether it's something like very colorful, something that's 3D. There's so many different levels of art. And so they choose the one that speaks to them in their space. Now, of course, most of you who already know me, and for those of you that don't know me, I am a big color advocate. Okay. So color, there's actually a color psychology chart that talks about how colors move you and how they make you feel. And based on your emotion, that's what you tend to gravitate to. So if there's a piece that reminds you of something, or something that the color combinations just look amazing. And of course, to me, color is always amazing in any space. Even if you had like an all black space, having a colorful piece in there would be, of course, gorgeous. Now, the other thing too is I love mirrors. I mean, art and mirrors go hand in hand too. So if you look behind me, for some of you who probably can't see, and I'm going to show you even on my. So as far as mirrors, these are the kind of mirrors that I like to put onto my walls. They have so much character. They're that dark, how can I say, metallic gold mixed with some browns in there to kind of accentuate the art that I have placed onto the wall. So there's so many different there's so many ways to pick art. And I love Yvette Crocker too, because Yvette Crocker, she speaks a lot to my emotion, which is always color. And she's very colorful, and her colors, to me, even in her graphics, she's always doing a lot of things showing emotion.
Yeah, we love Yvette. We love Yvette. Whether it's on the walls or the fashion.
Yes. And so, choosing that perfect print or choosing that perfect piece of artwork is going to be specific to that particular person. So
let me ask you a question, because I think this is one of the things that sort of gets me caught up too. Like, I'm always wondering in terms of like, so when I go in Marshall's, say, or like, because I'm there looking at clothes, I always gravitate towards the home section, because I like the things that I see in terms of, what I want to put in my house. But I look at it and I say, that's cute. And I leave it there. Because one of the things that I always get caught up on is the size. So like, when you're thinking about pieces, like, how do you decide where you want to, how do you decide where to put stuff?
Well, it depends on the design of the space, the style of the space, and the color of the space. And if there's even wall space, period, for whatever it is that you want to put on there. Typically, most times I measure the space, the wall. And so once I have those measurements, I know that once I'm out looking for paint for artwork, what photos can kind of go in what area.
Okay.
So that helps me to maintain overspending for no reason, because if I have the measurements, then I'll know and I'll take it. I keep one in my purse, as a matter of fact, a small one, so
Okay.
that I can measure the actual piece of artwork to make sure that it's something that's going to be conducive for the space.
Okay.
So
That's a really good tip. And Afiba has a couple of photos that he's going to pull up of a client, some artwork that you did for a client. I
yeah,
think that's a really, really interesting tip. And go ahead and tell us a little bit about what we're looking at.
okay. So is it?
Can you see it?
No.
It's the chandelier with the blue.
Okay. So sorry, no, I can't see it, but with the chandelier with the blue, that is a custom art piece of art that was placed into one of my clients' homes. She's very spiritual. And one of the things that she wanted to make sure that she did was that she incorporated some spiritual words in her artwork. Now, we already know that when you buy a piece of artwork, that it's not going to really contain, you know, which the colors that you want at all times, nor is it going to have, specific words that are embedded in the picture. So for the most part, you have to get something custom made. And if you have, I'm not sure if the picture is up. If you picture, you would see that she had the word Jesus embedded into the artwork.
So is that the one with the chandelier, the word Jesus is in there?
Yes.
Okay, Afiba, switch the picture, would you please?
Yes, and it's actually, and it's circled.
Oh, I would have never. Wait, now go back to the other one. He's showing us where you circled it so we can see it. Now go back to the other one.
And maybe that angle's not a good angle with the picture, but the word Jesus is actually embedded inside of that abstract.
I think I see it. I see it now. I see it now. Okay, that's clever.
Yeah, so it's a hand painted piece of, the artist hand painted that onto her wall.
Okay.
He actually put the trimming around it so it can look as if it's a piece of artwork.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yes. And so that's just a little piece of the creativity that we like to give our clients when we're designing their space. If we just can't simply find something that they're looking for, or if they have their own vision, with us bringing their vision to life in developing pieces of art on the wall in their home. And then if you look at the other picture that has the salmon color wall, that's another wall. Let me know when it's up, because I can't.
It's up. It's up.
All right, so that particular wall is another custom wall that we did in the same client's home.
That is beautiful.
And so we wanted to make sure that we had art or color going from the top of the wall to the bottom of the wall.
That is really, really
cool. Framed it so that it can be a unique piece of art that accentuates the aesthetics in the room. And
yes,
color combinations in there. Those are a lot of metallic colors. I love the soft greens that's in there, the gold shapes. If you look, there's shapes in there.
Yeah, he's zooming in.
Okay, that really, you can really identify the uniqueness of this actual piece.
Nice.
Placed onto her wall. So this is only a small piece of what my business offers, is, amongst some other services, but we definitely like to create unique spaces.
So one of the things I heard you saying, Simone, you gave a really good tip that I think is a great takeaway for people, is that you walk with a tape measure. Now, you use a tape measure because you're intentionally going to shop for clients, and this is your business. But for me, I think that that's something that's a great takeaway for if I'm going out and I'm looking and I'm like, okay, I want to, one of the other things is like rugs. I'm always looking at rugs.
Yeah.
Carrying a tape measure with me. So then that way, if I do see something that I really, really like, I don't have to walk away disappointed. I can basically measure it and see if it works. And then that way I'm not, I know right away and I don't have to leave it in the store. Cause like I said, I'm always in.
One of the things that you got to remember when you're shopping at those type of stores, like a TJ Maxx or Marshalls or even a Home Goods, those stores have one of a kind pieces. So it's kind of one of those things that when you see it, you better grab it, because if you don't grab it, there's absolutely no guarantee that once you come back that item is going to be there.
And that happens to me all the time.
It happens to a lot of people. To a lot of people. So just imagine if you were there looking for a rug that, you say your area and you needed a 5x7, right? If you have your measuring tape and you can measure, or if it says this is a 5x7 rug, then perfect, that'll fit in my space. Mm-hmm. And then you won't have to worry about lugging it home to actually lug it back if you don't do your correct measurements.
Yes.
Yes. So there's so many different ways that you can make sure that you're selecting the right piece. But
okay, so give us another quick tip on how to select the right artwork or something that you need to beautify your space. Give us another quick tip on what we should be either doing or looking out for.
Are you asking like what should you do in a space to kind of make it more vibrant with?
You either what's something we can do to make a space look more vibrant, or what should we indicate? Like I said, I'm always out and don't buy the right. I look at it and then I walk away. So
two tips I would say. If you have a cocktail table, I noticed some people are afraid to put books on the tables, stackable books, which I think is really nice. That's a good tip for them. I know most times people think that those designer books are expensive. Well, if you get the actual book from that, fashion designer or that designer, those are expensive, but they do have lower costed books, that stackable books that you can put on your coffee table. The other thing is pillows. When you look at art and you look at all the other aesthetics of the room, the rug, the accessories and all that good stuff, pillows are definitely great adds to a room. They're easy to switch out based on season. Yes, I see the pillow, the rug in the corner, and I love that zebra print, which that's giving me life. I did notice that. Yeah, look at that pillow and that makes me even think about patterns, and I love the way, and that correlates with even fashion, how you mix patterns together. And you taught me that too, by the way, so thank you.
You're welcome.
I got to give you kudos for that. But pillows definitely add to a space. Patterns and textures add to a space. And all of that art is like the last piece that we typically do in a design.
Okay.
So that's not something we do first and build on that. We do furnitures, we do pillows and things of that nature. Then we build with accessories and artwork.
Okay, and that's another good tip. Okay, well, Nayoka, I appreciate your you sharing some of those tips. So my takeaways are: walk with your tape measure so that you have an idea of if that item or if that artwork is going to fit in the space.
Yep.
The other thing was stackable books on a coffee table. Mm-hmm. And the other one was start with your furnishings and then building your pillows and your paint and then your art. Okay, those are my takeaways. Now, hopefully you guys got some takeaways as well. And one of the things we were talking about before we started the show, and I think that we'll probably have to come back and do this, was I need to know how to hang some stuff, because I've got art and I've got some things that hang on the walls, but as you can see, they have not gone up yet. So I either need a DIY tutorial or I need to hit Nayoka Simone up and have her come with her team to do some installing for me. So if you need some interior decorating support, if you need some installation support, you can hit Nyoka up at tell them about what's your socials, your
Yes. So you can follow me at Nyoka Simone, Nayyoka Simone on Instagram, and on Facebook, I'm Nare Interior Design. And then also too, once everything lets up, visit the MGM. My candles and products and my book is located at the spot at the MGM.
Yes, yes. Busy. So
yeah,
let's jump right into today's show. I'm going to do love up first. So, um, some of you who may know me or follow me on social media know that I just celebrated my 20th marriage anniversary. Yay, me! Yay, husband! And a lot of times we get questions, or people are like, congratulations. And those who have been married for the same amount of time or longer, I have a lot of friends who actually have been married longer than I have. So the question usually is like, how do you do it? What's the secret? Drop some jewels. And I think that every one of my friends who has been married for equally as long or longer, like, something different that they could share. And so, people who have been married for a long time usually tend to say, like, it's a lot of work or something like that. And that's kind of vague, and it's kind of, yeah, but you're not really telling me anything. And so I was doing a little bit of research around like love in marriage and sustaining marriage and that kind of thing, because it's difficult to be able to give someone advice. They say the worst vice is advice. So I turned to my favorite thing to do, which is like research, right? Because we know the internet knows everything. So I gathered through my research the 7 stages of marriage. And so I wanted to share them. And within those 7 stages, as I was reading it, I was like, aha, these all make sense. Nobody ever kind of like named these stages for me. And, when we did our like premarital counseling, it was like we were ready to get married. So whatever he was saying, we were kind of, it wasn't, some people have these like really long premarital counseling sessions, and they've got homework, and they've got like really in-depth things that they're supposed to be doing. We didn't have that. And nobody handed us a book on what to expect in marriage. Like, they've got what to expect when you're expecting, but nobody passed us the what to expect when you're getting married book. So the 7 stages of marriage came across in my research. And so I wanted to share those for the love segment, because in looking at them, it's like you'll see. So the stage, and then maybe what the trick is or what the challenge is in that stage that you need to work through in order to sustain a relationship, right? So stage 1 is the passion stage. We all know about the passion stage, and we usually call it the honeymoon phase. This is when everything is great, the passion, the excitement, that new love. People say, oh, the new love, the honeymoon phase, right? This is the phase that sometimes can be the shortest phase of your marriage, depending, and sometimes it probably can start even before you're married if you're actually like living together. So this one of the things that I came across as I was researching is like, why is this? What makes this phase so great? And it's because your brain actually produces all of these feel good hormones during that phase, right? Like, so your body chemistry is working with you to help that passion phase be successful. So then you go into phase 2, which is called realization. And that's when we start hearing people saying the honeymoon is over, or like reality has set in. So during the realization phase, this is when you realize, in like, the gravity of your life together starts to set in. This is when you can start to experience some of the disappointments or some of the conflicts that you will experience in your marriage. That's when these things start to crop up. Now, that's when you start hearing people complaining like he leaves the toilet seat up, or in my case, like um, always being late when we got to go someplace. She's always late. He leaves the toilet seat up. She's always burning stuff. Or like he likes to play his game for too long. So those little like conflicts and those little disappointments start to crop up. And the secret to being able to overcome these challenges during the realization phase is when you start to work on your own openness to change and your ability to be accepting of your partner and building respect for your partner. And one of the things that you should be trying to do all the time at this phase, especially when it can be early on, is that you start to have these honest conversations about your needs and your wants. And then the partner, or whoever is on the other end of that, is doing some really careful listening. And one of that, in and of itself, being honest about your needs and being a careful listener is a critical thing. Sometimes we actually have to learn how to be careful listeners. But when you're in that stage 2 of realization, honest conversations around your wants and your needs and being a careful listener is the secret to getting past this phase. Now, let me say, and I think I said this at the beginning, these are not Irving isms or Irving solutions or Sharonda answers. This is what I came up and came across through research and reading. So I'm sharing sort of like the best practices, the nuts and bolts. The at the bottom of all of these phases is you and your partner doing the work. So I want to just put that out there as a caveat and say that up front. And it's called challenges for a reason. It's not simple to just like, yeah, just be a careful listener. That can be the area that you might have to work on and grow through. Or knowing what you need and being able to articulate that might be your issue. So just knowing that it's expected to pass through the honeymoon phase. It's expected to run into the like, ooh, we really gonna be together. Like Andre 3000 said, forever, ever. That's the realization phase. Stage 3, rebellion phase. This is when you start thinking back to yourself. You start going back to like, well, what about me? Well, what about my wants? What about, what I'm trying to do? And then that's when the power struggle starts to come in. And it's interesting because as I was reading about that phase, it makes me think about like some of our teachings. If you grew up in a tradition, in a Christian faith, that's when you might start thinking about like the wives submit to your husbands, husbands love your wives, or even like what we bring to the marriage in terms of our own preconceived ideas of what the husband's supposed to do, what the wife is supposed to do, and what the path is supposed to be. If you didn't really, even if you thought you knew, when you get to the rebellion stage, you might lose sight of that, right? And so at this stage, this is when you're both adamant about being right. And when you're adamant about being right, that means that the partner has to be wrong. And that's why you're having this power struggle. Nobody wants to be wrong. So you're both pushing to be right. And if you're in this phase, and like all of these, you can come in and out of a phase, right? Just it's not it is a linear thing, but sometimes you may find yourself experience some of these phases at different stages again. But if you're in the phase where you're both trying to be right, I want you guys to practice saying to yourself and saying to each other. One of the things that my husband and I learned to say is we are on the same team, and not just saying it, but believing it and working to be in that space. Because if you're on the same team, it's not about right and wrong. It's about trying to figure out where you are together. And so when you're doing that, what the challenge is learning the art of the good fight. And so everybody comes, that's another thing. Everybody comes to conflict differently. Depending on your conflict style or what you learned about conflict or what you experienced with conflict, you're going to bring that conflict style into your marriage. And if you are in the rebellion phase and you learn to fight the good fight, you can get past that, right? And so you can walk through that rebellion phase stronger if you can fight to be together rather than fight to be right. That was a good one. Stage number 4 is cooperation. And Afiba, I think I have a couple of pictures there. I don't know why my live keeps going out. So when you're watching this, you guys, if you're watching on YouTube later, you'll see me keep leaning forward because I'm keeping my live going. So at any rate, stage number 4, cooperation. At this phase, a couple starts to really start to like cook. You're gelling, things are starting to like come together. This is the phase where you're feeling like you're on the same page. And this is also the phase where the business of your marriage is getting handled. At this phase, you probably are working through paying bills, you are working on your investments together, you're building a career or your jobs. And if you have children, you're working to raise your children together and those kinds of things. So that part of your marriage takes a lot of that cooperation. If you are mindful, you can use the skills that you have built through that rebellion phase and the skills you built through your realization phase to strengthen your ability to cooperate. This particular phase can last a really long time depending on if you have children. This can last about 10 to 20 years if you have children in the mix. Then, as your children start to get older, as things start to settle down and you start to get more established, if you have been successful in this phase, you get to phase 5, which is reunion phase. The reunion phase, if you've been able to successfully navigate, is when, it's when you start to like gain that appreciation for one another again. You start to rebuild or build on your marriage as lovers, as friends, and even as new adventurers, new seekers, new learners, because you've sort of ushered your children on into their lives and the things that they're going to be doing. Your career is stable now, hopefully, again, if you have navigated that phase successfully. And so now you're just kind of like rebuilding your relationship as a couple. The challenge with this particular phase, and again, like you're a little older now, you may be in your middle ages. Now you have to figure out how to restoke the passion. A lot of your time, you were just spending a lot of your time in focusing on the kids, focusing on career, building. You hear a lot of people saying like we were building a life together or we were building a marriage together. Now it's restoking the passion. Also, you're middle age now, so like your body is different or your like habits are different, and now you got to figure out who you are as a couple in this middle age. Middle-aged body, middle-aged mindsets. And now you also have to reset some of the expectations of your marriage because you've done a lot of the child rearing and career building and maybe house getting or that kind of thing. So now you're recalibrating your marriage expectations, which now you're moving into, once you got into that phase, then you move into phase 6. Oh my goodness, this is called the explosion phase. This phase is can be if there is an unexpected event that can throw any human being off their game. This is like the things that happen to all of us as human beings. It could be the life changing events that sometimes can define us. So it could be a personal crisis, it could be the loss of a loved one. It could be a disruption to your career. It could be financial difficulties. It could be a health crisis. Those kinds of things actually can happen at any phase of your marriage, but they can tend to happen, they're more likely to happen in your 40s and 50s because that's when you're really growing in your life. You really kind of have a whole lot more in that like shared pot together. Um, the challenge and the trick of getting past those explosions that can happen in your marriage is that you allow your marriage to be the place of solace. And I think that one of the things that I have learned is understanding how you naturally respond to stressful events or how you and your partner respond to like crises can help you. If you can understand that, it can help you get past the explosion phase. If you are a person in a crisis who you tend to shell off or isolate yourself, your partner is going to feel left out. If you're a person who tends to get frantic and want to control everything to feel secure, your partner may feel left out. So thinking about how you respond to stress and allowing your marriage to be the safe haven in that stressful event, you'll be able to navigate and continue to understand that this place, this marriage is my stable spot. And then allowing yourself room and permission to take care of yourself, take care of yourselves as a couple, as a family, even in the midst of crisis. That's how you still continue to get through that explosion and get through it together. And then the final phase, I don't really know why it's called this, but phase 7 is called completion. And I think that that's like the brass ring of marriages, that we're all looking down the road and envision that for ourselves and our partner. And that's where you and your partner have spent the time and built a life together. You've been through trials and tribulations, you've been through joys and successes, and through that, you have gotten to know one another really, really well. And when you get to know one another really well, the joy in that is now you really just have a shared zest for life. You have a shared outlook on making each day a good day, making each day a happy day, and not waiting for like some sort of magical hurdle to cross. You now know that every single day that you have together is a gift that you share together, and that's the 7th phase. One of the things that I read in the research around these phases of marriage is that the first 5, which was passion, realization, rebellion, cooperation, and reunion, those kind of go in order. The amount of time for each could be different, but they kind of go in order. But explosion can kind of happen anywhere in between that. And but completion is like your ultimate outcome, your ultimate goal. And so, I am not offering any magic pill, magic wand, magic potion to how to get through any of these phases. And based off of what this is saying, it truly is a life journey with you and your partner. But I thought that it was just interesting and helpful to like even understanding that there was like a framework for each of these stages, and understanding that like when you come across these stages, they are not just unique to you or unique to you and your partner. These are things that you have in common with other married people, and that there is a way to get past or to go through each one of these stages successfully if you know that you can kind of go through it and work through it together. And so I just wanted to share those. I thought those were interesting. I thought that rather than trying to like tell people like the secret of marriage and the secret of staying married for 20 years, like let me turn to what the like experts say or what the researchers say, because what we have learned is that there's always something new to learn. There's always a journey forward to take with your partner, as long as the willingness is there, to get to that new phase, and to take each one of those new phases with like excitement and commitment and willingness to go forward. All right. So, final segment. And you know what? I did my cute little setup here because I had some of my favorite books. I don't think you guys can see them. Let me see. I wanted to show you all what are some of my favorites. I talked a little bit before. I know I'm jumping back to the segment that I was finished talking about, but if you have not gotten this book, I talked about it before, Spirit of an Outlaw. I think it's flipped. Oh, it's upside down. Duh. Spirit of an Outlaw. I read this in a couple of days. I got a couple of books of poetry. Our girl, Sonia Sanchez, has some new poems, Shake Loose My Skin. And I bought the book, The Source of Self-Regard by Toni Morrison. Now, I said I'm not really a nonfiction lover, and I have started this. I have tried. I have to get back to it. But it's a bunch of essays by Toni Morrison. You got to put your thinking cap on and put your like big person's brain on. And probably for me, a pencil and paper to like take notes, because it's some deep stuff in here. But it's not a straight through book, so you can pick and choose what you want to read about. So anyway, I jumped back a segment. So if you're just joining me on live, tune into my YouTube channel a little bit later on. You can watch the segment from the beginning and you'll know what I was just talking about. But we are in the fashion segment, so let me stay in the here and now. And so we have been talking about, I've been a little bit back and forth. I've talked about some work from home. I've talked about capsule wardrobe. I've talked a little bit about, a couple of weeks back, I talked a little bit about thrifting, which I do plan to come back to, because I realize that there's a lot of crises going on in the fashion industry, and people just are in a place where they may not be interested in spending a lot of money on clothes, or may not be in a position to spending a lot of money on clothes, but they have to maintain a certain look for work and that kind of thing. And so, I will bring back the thrifting segment. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about, if you can see my rack back here, all I have is shirts hanging up. There's one dress back there, but I was thinking about two different topics. One, this idea of how people are sort of dressing from the waist up. And so, because they have video meetings and you may not have to see the rest of their outfit. And so what kinds of things we want to be looking for in our closet, or if we're looking for some new ideas on what to have in our work from home wardrobe, the idea of sort of eye-catching tops. But within that, I was thinking about the idea. I've been talking a lot about how getting dressed is not only just about wanting to look good, but also there is a psychology behind getting dressed, dressing up, and how that governs our day or how that influences our day. And so as I continue to sort of think about that and research, I came across this woman. Her name is, why did I close my notebook? Her name is Dawn Karen. Now, Dawn Karen is actually a fashion psychologist. I did not know that there was such a thing, but it makes perfect sense to me. She is a fashion psychologist and she's a professor at FIT. And she has a book all about dressing and how those things play, the interplay of that in your psychological state. And so one of the things she talks about is like mood enhancement dressing and how we use clothing to influence our mood, and in particular with work from home, our productivity. And so that's the thing that I've kind of been talking a lot about. Like, we want to be cozy and comfortable, but we want to be careful not to draw or not to be overly comfortable, because then we can sometimes not be able to be as productive as we need to be. And so what she was talking about was this idea of a uniform. And she was saying that within the various roles in our lives, we have sort of like a uniform that we associate with that role. So when you are at home, one of your roles might be as a mom. And so what do you wear when you're kind of like momming? Or for my gentlemen who are also tuned in, shout out to the gentlemen who are watching. Thank you for being a part. Or when you're dadding or momming at home, what does that uniform look like, right? Or when you're like at home just relaxing, you might be in your PJs. And so when you're wearing those kinds of uniforms, or you may be a student, when you're wearing the uniform of a student or the uniform of a mom, it could be PJs, it could be sweats, it could be socks, it could be slippers. But like PJs and slippers typically is not equated with productivity. And so we think about this sort of like getting dressed, almost like flipping the switch between the role of momming or the role of student or role of just chillaxing to your role as whatever you do for the world of work. And so what does that uniform look like? Now, we're not suggesting, and she's not suggesting, wearing a shirt and tie at home, but just elevating what you would have on at home to increase that level of productivity through your dressing. And so that's why I put just shirts, because my thought was that you may not wear a full suit, but if you wear a top that is a little bit elevated, and then you may have on jeans at the bottom, you may have on leggings at the bottom, you may have on sort of like a cute jogger at the bottom with some slides, and you will be elevated and cozy, but you're prepared for the day. And if you've got a Zoom meeting, some of those tops that you pick out will make for a nice presentation. So what do we think about when we're selecting those pieces? One of the things that Dawn Karen talks about is mood enhancement. And so that also got me to thinking about color and how we use color to influence our moods, to influence our audience's perception of us. And so I have on this yellow dress, and I am being a little sexy today. But I decided to put on this yellow dress because yellow, according to psychologists, communicates intelligence, inspiration, and cheer. And I feel like those are the things that I definitely want to communicate on the show. So I wanted to sort of model what I'm going to show you guys. So yellow communicating those things. Then they talk about red. Red communicates romance and passion, but it also can make you hungry. So if you're one of those singles who's doing like virtual dating and you wear a red dress, you may also be snacking, or you may decide wear the red dress and do sort of like some sort of cooking together. But passion, and red is also actually a power color. So thinking about how that red can translate into your work from home look. They talk about green. Green is refreshing, and it also is soothing and stress reducing. So thinking about your mood that day and how you're feeling. If you're stressed out, if you're overwhelmed, put on something green. Purple is considered associated with creativity and luxury. It's also associated with spirituality and intuition. So if you are trying to bring out some of your creative side, because you're stuck in sort of a rut because as a creative, or you're just doing all of your 9-to-5 tasks that don't invoke your creative side, put on some purple to invoke your creative side. And then one of the colors that I saved for last was blue, because blue is actually my favorite color. And it said that blue is peaceful and calming. But on the other side, it also can be considered to be standoffish. And then it also can be considered to be sad or also creative. So blue is kind of all over the place, but I think that goes into like shading. So thinking about the shades of blue that you may select. And so that's just a little bit of thought behind sort of dressing, selecting things that enhance your mood, that help you stay motivated. And if you're doing from waist up for your video presentations, what are those colors communicating? And I wanted to just show you a couple of pieces because I always try to leave you guys with a little something as a takeaway. And I'm fully dressed. I'm not just from the waist up because I don't like to leave it to chance as some sort of oops moment. But thinking, I just pulled out a couple of tops that I thought about in terms of things to consider when you're picking your tops to wear for work. So this used to be this was one of my favorites actually. This type of neckline, sort of having that wide neckline, so keeping the space from here up sort of open. So as you're talking, you're not looking closed off. You're not looking tight in that little box that people can see you in, but keeping it open. And this particular top, I like it because the pattern, it like shows movement and color, and it's got the blues, but it's also got a little bit of softness to it. And this top has some structure. So it's a little bit peplum, so that when you're sitting down, you know, sometimes we lose a little bit of the structure. So that structured nature of this particular top will really translate well on camera. So when you're picking a top, you want to think about not only the color, but also the structure of the top and how that can enhance your silhouette. If you are someone who likes Afrocentric prints, who likes Ankara prints, Ankara looks great on camera. This one is an oversized top that I use almost like as a cardigan. But just that visual interest, I wear it open, I wear a dress underneath of it, or I'll wear a t-shirt underneath of it. Or sometimes button it up with a belt and put it with a scarf. So just wanted to pull out. Then we've got Gingham. Gingham is always great. It's a classic. I actually got this little J. Crew Gingham shirt from the thrift store. Some of this stuff needs to be ironed. I'm going to do better next time. But classic Gingham. This one is a pink and a blue. So it can go with your denim. It can go with your khaki. It can go with almost any color because it's got that bluish tint to it. This is one of my favorite tops, and I pulled this out because everyone is not necessarily a print lover. Some people like to keep it sort of classic, but the thing I like about this particular top is that it does still have some visual interest because it's got this beading detail in the corner. And so wearing a top that has some visual interest doesn't necessarily mean that you've got to go outside of your comfort zone and go print crazy. Just that small detail in the corner just gives you a little bit of extra, that word that I used, a little bit of elevation to your look. And so as you're pulling your tops and as you're thinking about this sort of waist up dressing, the other thing that you want to think about is how can I, if you wear a plain color or no pattern, then you may want to pick out a statement necklace. So a statement necklace can range you anywhere from something that's got a little bit of shine, something that's got a little bit of sparkle to it. Uh-oh. So you may want something that's got a little bit of sparkle to it. Or something that has just like a pop of color. And you can do your statement necklace with a t-shirt. You can do it with a button up. You can do it with a jean shirt, with a dress. T-shirt, statement necklace, you are meeting ready, right? Cardigan, t-shirt, you are meeting ready. And if you're adventurous or if you feel comfortable, you can mix your patterns and mix your colors and that kind of thing and have fun with it. And those kinds of using those colors and using those patterns, it helps you stay to enhance the mood. So I want you to be thinking about, as you go forward and you're still curating your work from home wardrobe, what are some things that you can pull from your closet that you can use to enhance your mood, to create this simplified work from home wardrobe that will serve your role that you are playing, besides being at home with your pajamas and your slippers. And if you want to wear a sweatsuit, because sometimes you want to wear a sweatsuit and you may have an work environment where you don't have to get dressed up, you don't have to do a button up. But if you want to wear a sweatsuit, try to find like a more elevated way to wear your sweatsuit. Wear the whole piece, both pieces together, and put on some slides with it rather than, your slippers or rather than sneakers. Put on some cute slides with it. Or wear your jogger, the bottom half of your pants, your jogging pants, with maybe like a silk slouchy top, so that you're still sort of getting that cozy feeling, but with just a slightly elevated look. And so I think that that's all I wanted to share about fashion. I want you to be thinking as you go forward this week about supporting your local bookseller, finding an online book event that you may be interested in. I want you to also, if you are single, think about how you can be creative in this dating space. And then finally, for your fashion, what are your statement tops? And how are you using color to increase your productivity and or enhance your mood? Well, that's it for another episode of Art Loves Fashion. Thank you so much for spending your Sunday with me. I look forward to seeing you for the next episode, for episode number 3 of season 2. Remember, the airing schedule is now every second and fourth Sunday from 5 to 6 o'clock. If you missed today's episodes or any other episode, don't forget you can check them out on my YouTube channel, Sharonda Davila-Irving. I'll see you next time.